Everyone, welcome to Kollel Kol Shira in partnership with Breslov.org and of course Yeshiva Terah Shimon. And it's very exciting this week because actually the diaspora now catches up with Eretz Yisrael this week. So it's very exciting actually, right? Mm-hmm. Right. This week you have a double parsha. Right, we already Right, we lane Parshas Chukas last Shabbos. Right, and now you're gonna lane Parshas Chukas and Balak together, and then next week we'll be on the right track. It's wonderful, wonderful. All right, so let's see now. So there's a lot to really discuss. Parshas Chukas is loaded with a lot of things. Let's understand a couple of the mitzvahs in Chukas and how it works, and let's understand the Maisa, the Maisa with Moshe and the rock, and how did that work out, and what was the story behind it, and let's see if we can understand something. So we're gonna turn now to the Holy Kedushas Levi, Rab Levi Yitzchak Ben Sarah Sasha. He's always the go-to whenever you have a difficult parsha and you need to find the schus and you need to find something. You always can turn to the Kedushas Levi. So the Rebbe says like this: Zois chukas haTorah asher tziva Hashem lema haklal. He says these are the chukim of the Torah. Chukim are a little bit different than regular mitzvahs, right? Because mitzvahs sometimes we have taimei mitzvahs, but a chok is an ordinance, right? And an ordinance is really a little bit more difficult to understand because even like Moshe Rabbeinu, Shlomo HaMelech, when it came to the Parsha Paraduma, he said he didn't understand. And we know that Shlomo HaMelech was the smartest man ever. So let's see, it says, Zais Chukas HaTorah. The Rebbe says, now HaKlal. He's giving us a general rule of how we understand it. Ki taimei haTorah v'amitzvos heim ne'elomim mikol adam. The real true reasons of mitzvahs and, of course, the chukim are really, really, really hidden from anybody. We really don't know. We really don't understand what the real mitzvah is and what we're doing. After 120 years, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows us what we accomplished, of course we'll see. But now, as human beings, as Yidden in this world performing the mitzvahs, we don't necessarily see the values, we don't understand the reasons of the mitzvahs, okay? And what is it that we have? We have that we fulfill the Torah. Why? Because Hashem commanded us to do that. And that's why we do the mitzvahs, because we have emunah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us to do the mitzvahs, and that's why we do the mitzvahs. Zeh remez zos chukas haTorah kol haTorah v'mitzvahs hein chukim etzleinu. Because really, how do you like this? All the Torah and all of the mitzvahs are chukim etzleinu. They're really something we don't understand. Ki ein nigla lanu shum tamei mitzvahs. Because at the end of the day, we could try to understand reasons in the mitzvahs and everything, but we don't really have any real reasons why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made certain mitzvahs for us. We don't understand that. And you know something? We trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He knows what we need for us to be spiritually successful. That it's the whole thing is the reason why we're fulfilling the Torah, we're doing the Torah, is because Hashem commanded us. Because Hashem commanded us to do it. Therefore, we're obligated to do and fulfill the mitzvahs. And now let's try to understand a little bit. Let's try to understand a little bit what this the aduma, the red heifer, right? It's called the red heifer in English, right? This red heifer, which was a wonder, right? The rules were on the third and on the seventh day you had to get sprinkled with the ashes, right? The ashes of the aduma. Right? And if a person was sprinkled on the third and the seventh day, he was pure. He was pure if he came in contact with a corpse, right? But if the person didn't do that, then he wasn't pure. But we also know there was another strange thing that I had to be. Let's say Ernie or Marty. Let's say you guys needed to be purified. Okay, right? And I was pure, so I could take the paradum, I could sprinkle it on you, all right? And then you'll become pure, but I become impure. How do you like that? You guys become pure, but I become impure. Till the end of the day. Till the end of the day. That's the rules. Very interesting rules when it came to paraduma. Very interesting ruls. All right? But here we go. Lasa is paralatami tumas mace. And this is only the paraduma's function was to purify a person when he came in contact with the mace. We know that a corpse is the avia voisa tumah, right? It's the highest level of tumah is the mace. Okay, so if a person came in contact with the mace, he had to be sprinkled with the offer from the paraduma. We understand that? It makes sense. Right. No questions. Okay. Haneshama v'hachius asher ba'adam, because we have a neshama, we have a soul. We have the neshama, and we have chiyas, and we have a life force in us. Asher haneshama v'chiyas netzab mitachas kisei hakavod. We know that our neshamas come, they've carved out from underneath the kisei hakavod, the throne of glory, up in the highest world. In the highest world, that's where our neshamas come from. Amazing. We each have a neshama. We each have a piece of God, a chelik elikami mal mamish inside of us, and that neshama that we have inside of us comes from the highest place. Unbelievable. Tachas kisei hakavod, from under the throne of glory. Right tamid la'avoid es habayre. So the neshama, of course, you can understand, right? If the neshama comes from such a high and lofty place, it always wants to serve Hashem. Right? The neshama knows the truth. It knows where it came from. And he wants to serve Hashem. Right? Does that make sense? Right? Asher neshama chiyas netzah. Okay. Okay. B'li hefsek regel echad. The neshama doesn't want to stop serving God for even a moment. Rakaguf asher ba'adam ein meniach. But we have the body. We have our physical bodies. And our physical bodies have a different view because we come from the offer. We come from this world, right? The body of the Jew comes from this world, right? And the body of the Jew doesn't agree with the neshama always, to serve Hashem always. The chiyas, the life force of the Jew, and his body is always in constant battle. It's always in constant battle. The Adam HaZoicha, and the Jewish person, the Yid that merits to be able to be victorious over the body. Right? That person that's fortunate enough in order to allow the neshama to conquer the body. So then let's understand something. Why is it? So we understand why the neshama wants to follow the Torah and the mitzvahs, but why is it that the body doesn't also want to follow the mitzvahs? Why? Because the body doesn't understand the reason for the Torah and the mitzvahs. So therefore the body says it's not so, he doesn't understand it. So therefore it's not so important to the body. Because if our minds, if our feeble minds, our finite minds, the Torah is infinite, right? Our minds are finite, we're finite beings. So if our minds were able to comprehend and perceive the reasons for the Torah, so then the body would also want to fulfill the mitzvahs. But because the body doesn't know, but again, we understand the neshama, where it came from that lofty place. It understands the reasons for the mitzvah. And therefore it You understand what's going on over here? We're saying like this, that really the neshama comes from that lofty, lofty place. And because of that, it knows the reasons for the Torah. The neshama understands the reasons for the Torah. The neshama understands the reasons for the chukim. It understands it. But the body is more coarse. The body is more coarse. The body is more physical. The body doesn't understand. And because the body doesn't understand, therefore the body doesn't want to participate all the time. Lekach writes in Talmud L'asaysim Chaim b'li shum efsek rega. V'odam hazoicha megaber haneshama ala guf v'lasayis l'kayim ha'torah mitzvahs. But a person that merits to overpower the body with the neshama, and then v'lekach odam hameis, and therefore when a person passes away, shaneshama oila lamala, that the neshama leaves, the neshama goes up. When a person leaves the world after 120, so what happens? The neshama leaves the body, right? The neshama, the soul, leaves the body, right? And it goes up. V'nisha guf levadei, and the body stays by itself. Mitame aguf, and that's mitame. That's the tumah sets in because the kedusha left. So when the kedusha leaves, the tumah sets in. You follow? You follow that? Unbelievable. The lekach. Look at this, what he says now. V'lekach kivrei tzadikim einei mitame. You know, there's a shita that says if you go to the kivarim of the tzadikim, if you go to the kivarim of the great tzadikim, so you don't become defiled because you went there. Why? Because the tzaddik in his life, his guf and his neshama are totally in sync. So the body has holiness by itself. You see, by a regular person, by a regular Jew, since the neshama has all the kedusha in it, and the guf is not necessarily purified that much, and therefore when the neshama leaves, the tumah sets in. But by a tzaddik, the tzaddik purified his guf so much so, he made his guf so pure. So of course, when the tzaddik made his guf so pure, he also his guf is pure. So if the neshama leaves, the body is still pure. That's why you understand the shita that sometimes when they meet the kivrei tzadikim einem mitamim. Why is it not mitamim? Because the neshama leaves, but the guf itself has its own kedusha. Do you follow the difference? Ki ad gufim me'ad tzadikim heim mizachachim. They cleansed their bodies. And therefore also their bodies, they are not defiling. They're not defiled because again the body itself was purified. So in a regular person, the neshama leaves, and then the tumah sets in because the body doesn't have its own. It doesn't have its own kedusha. But if we work during our lives to purify our bodies, doing the Torah, going to a mikveh, going and learning more Torah, and being connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so the body itself agrees to do the things. The body is doing it. So then the body itself gains its own purity. Okay? Zay Chukas HaTorah machmas HaTorah hu choik v'she'enai golui Einai golui tam haTorah. Ve'ena guf writes l'kayim haTorah. Therefore, the body doesn't necessarily want to do it. V'az haguf mitame acha misa moisai. Therefore, the body after the body passes away, the body is impure. V'lakach tziva Hashem yizbarach la'asais para l'tam mitumas haguf. And therefore, Hashem made the mitzvah the para aduma to specifically purify a person that came in contact with the corpse, the Jewish corpse, levad. This is very easy to understand this. It's not so hard to understand this concept. I think we can understand this concept well. Okay, so now we understand in general what is the story that happened with the Parshas Chukim in general. What's the idea with Parshas Chukas? What is the idea that we have these Chukim? The neshama understands. The neshama wants to participate and wants to do the mitzvahs, right? But the guf doesn't necessarily understand it, because the guf doesn't understand it. The guf is always in battle with the neshama. And therefore we said that the tzaddikim, when they pass away, since they purified their guf so much, since they purified themselves so much, via that, when the neshama leaves, they still have a level of holiness in the body itself, and therefore their body is not metame. It's a beautiful understanding to understand really why do sometimes we don't feel like we have the drive to do the mitzvahs. But if we understand that we can make ourselves tzaddikim, like it says in the Pirkei Avos, v'amech kulam tzaddikim, right? We can make ourselves in tzaddikim. And how do we do that? Via making the neshama be able to win over the guf. Having the neshama win. Whenever the guf says, nah, don't do this, and the neshama says, I want to do this, we say we're going to do it anyway. We force the guf to do it. As you force the guf to do it, the guf becomes more hurgul. It becomes more accustomed to doing it, and that's how you can wind up purifying the body. Any questions on this concept? No. So this is something that we can work on all the time. We can work on purifying ourselves, and via doing that, we bring our own kedusha, we bring our own level of holiness to our bodies. What a beautiful thing, and that we can accomplish for ourselves in our time. Okay? Now, let's go discuss the next idea, and it's perhaps one of the most complicated ideas in all of Torah, right? The idea of Moshe Rabbeinu going over to the rock and hitting the rock instead of talking to the rock. And to really understand where all through the Torah it says that Moshe Rabbeinu and Aharon did everything like Hashem told them to do, right? Right? Lema, right? Isn't that true, Marty? It always says that Moshe Rabbeinu did and Aharon did everything like Hashem told them to do, right? So here is it. So how is it that in this case over here, that Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest Navi in the world, the greatest Navi that we ever had, right? And the greatest tzaddik that we ever had, the greatest Rebbe that Klal Yisrael ever had. How do we understand that Moshe Rabbeinu went and he hit the rock when Hashem told him to talk to the rock? So let's understand. So first of all, to understand that, I want to tell you that there were a lot of rocks in that area. I don't know if you know that. The Medrash said that there was a very rocky area, and there were a lot of rocks. And Moshe Rabbeinu was walking over to all of the rocks and talking to the rocks. He was talking to the rocks, but the rocks weren't giving any water. And then all of a sudden, Moshe Rabbeinu decided to hit the rock. What caused him to want to hit the rock? So that's what we're going to understand from the Kedushas Levi now. What caused Moshe Rabbeinu to want to hit the rock? It says over here, "V'dibartem el hasela le'einayim." Right, that's what the pasuk says. Speak to the rock in front of the eyes. The Jewish people were all watching Moshe Rabbeinu. They were all watching Moshe Rabbeinu. Yan lo yemantim bi lehakdisheni le'einei b'nei Yisrael. Because you didn't believe in me to sanctify me in front of the eyes and the eyes of the Jewish people. Unbelievable words the Torah gives rebuke to Moshe Rabbeinu. Unbelievable things that the Torah is giving a rebuke to Moshe Rabbeinu. Of all people, Rabban Shel Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is getting rebuke from the Torah Kedosha. Not only that, Moshe Rabbeinu had to write these words down. Could you believe this? Moshe Rabbeinu wrote these words. Could you believe that? Marty, you're about Koreh, right? Marty, you're about Koreh, right?
I know it'll truck, but I'm not. I don't do it recently.
Okay, but you can appreciate, but you can appreciate the words of the Torah, right? So look what it says here. Hine Rashi v'Ramban cholkin b'chet shel Moshe. You know, Rashi, the holy Rashi, and Ramban, they were both Rishonim, right? And the Rashi and the Ramban sometimes have a machlokes, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? Echad Mefarish al Sha'amar li Yisrael Shimu Noha Moirim. Right?
Rebels.
Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen up, you rebels. Listen up, you rebels. But listen, think about it for a second, okay? You know, that was right after Miriam passed away, right? This was right after Miriam passed away, and the Shiva was up for Miriam. And then the Jewish people right away, with no compassion, start complaining to Moshe Rabbeinu. You believe that? No compassion. That he lost his sister. Unbelievable that he lost his sister. And we know that the rock that gave the water in the desert, that rolling stone that went through the desert and gave us the water, we know gave us the water b'schus Miriam, right? It was in the merit of Miriam. It was in the merit of Miriam. Why? Because really all the Jewish people were in the merit of Miriam. Do you know that? Do you know how all the Jewish people are in the merit of Miriam? Because when her father, I'll tell you. Listen, I'll tell you. When Moshe Rabbeinu and Miriam's parents, when Moshe Rabbeinu's parents realized, and Hashem made that Paro made that decree in Mitzrayim, that if you're going to have any boys, they're going to get drowned, they're going to be killed. So they said that we should really separate. We should get divorced. Why do we have to be married? Why do we have to be married? To bring in more children, to bring more children into the misery and the suffering. And then Miriam Neviah, she said to her parents, Mommy and Daddy, are you worse? Are you worse than Paroi? You're worse than Paroi. And they said, what do you mean? Paroi only made the gezerah, he only made the decree on the Jewish boys, not on the girls. But you're making a decree on the Jewish girls as well. And they took her words to heart. And they got back together, they got remarried. And then all the Jewish people at that time also divorced their wives for the same reason. And when they got back together, all the Jewish people got back together and the nation continued. And all the people were there in the merit of Miriam, the holy Miriam, at Tzedekis. Wow, to understand the greatness of Miriam, how Miriam put Moshe Rabbeinu in that basket, right? Miriam put Moshe Rabbeinu in the basket. And this lady passed away. Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron sitting shiva for their sister. And what happened? The Jewish people are complaining. They're complaining. Unbelievable that they're complaining. Unbelievable. But anyway, Moshe Rabbeinu therefore says, Shimu No'amayrim, listen up, you rebels. Now look what happens. So one says the reason is that Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen up, you rebels.
Why were they complaining? Because Moshe's sister died. Why were they complaining?
Because the water stopped. The water was there in the merit. The water was there in the merit of Miriam. She passed away, and when she passed away, the water stopped.
It stopped.
So now they turned on their faucet and they weren't getting any water, right? And they complained, right? Okay, all right, okay, that's okay, good. I'm glad you understand it. Mefarish, and the other one says, Al Shehika Sasela, that he hit the rock. So which one was it? Was it the fact that he said, "Listen up, you rebels," or was it the fact that he hit the rock? Which one was it? Vanira, the Kedushas Levi says, Shatam Echadu. It's really one reason. They're saying the same thing. Kizeh garam zeh, because one caused the other. What does that mean? There are two ways that you can rebuke somebody. If you want to rebuke somebody, that they should do the right thing and they should do what Hashem wants them to do. There is somebody that goes over to the person and uses nice words and soft words and pleasing words. And he talks to the person. L'chol ish Yisrael goydel ma'alosai u'mekoy mikor mechatzev nishmasai. He tells them over, do you know how great you are? Do you know how great your neshama is and where your neshama comes from? Asher be'emes nishmas Yisrael chatzuva l'mala me'kisei hakovod. We know that the neshamas comes from the kisei hakovod, the throne of glory. V'goydel nachas ruach asher la'abayri yizbarach kiviyachol mitzvos kol ish Yisrael. V'goydel simcha asher b'chol oilamos. And he tell over the person, do you know how much pleasure Hashem has? And do you know how much nachas Hashem has? And how much joy Hashem has in all of the world? Ba'asei Yisrael, ish Yisrael, mitzvahs habayre bazeh. When a Jewish person does the mitzvahs, do you understand how great? There's a whole symphony going on in heaven. It's an amazing thing going on in heaven because a Jew is following the mitzvahs of Hashem. Unbelievable. And if someone gives a rebuke like that, Mata es lei b'nei Yisrael laseis ritzein habayre. You can turn, you can lower and turn the heart of that Jewish person to serve Hashem. Baruch Hu. L'kabel kol ish mi Yisrael ol malchus shemayim olav. That every Jew in Yetz Hashem will take on the yoke of heaven. Ol malchus shemayim. V'yesha mechiach es Yisrael b'dvarim koshem u'v'divrei biyushim. There's another one that can rebuke the Jewish people, but he does it in very hard words. He uses very harsh language, right? And he embarrasses the person. He embarrasses the person until the person feels he has to. He has to serve Hashem. So there are two people that are rebuking. One does it in a very pleasing way. One does it in a way that's causing the person to feel so important and feel that he wants to have that connection with Hashem, right? By talking good words. And the other guy is saying how terrible he is, and he tells him and he makes fun of him, and he causes him to do the mitzvahs. But there's no comparison, right? There's no comparison to the two. Right? The guy that says good words and this, he encourages the person, he lifts the person up, where the other guy knocks the person down. You right? We understand that?
Right.
Okay, now. And he can constantly tell over Jewish people. And you tell them over your friends, and you tell over your family, how great it is. How great it is when they do a mitzvah. How much power that they're doing, and how great it is up on stairs. How much power they have up on high because they're doing the mitzvah. Such a person is worthy to be a leader in Klal Yisrael, that can rebuke Klal Yisrael. In that way, that person is a worthy leader of Klal Yisrael. But this guy that talks in a hard way, he's not in this very aspect like we're saying. He's in the other aspect. He's using hard words. He's not using nice, pleasing words. Okay? All right? Oz kol hadvarim nivroyim ba'olam tzrichim la'asais atzmam ratzon shal Yisrael ledavar shenivro. So we know that really HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything in the world for the Jewish people to help us serve Him, right? Everything in the world was made for Klal Yisrael to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful idea right there alone? Mm-hmm. A beautiful idea. Everything in the world, everything that was created, was only created so that we should be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now look at this.
Where does that idea come from? Who is that Chassidus or is that?
No, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was istako be'araisa uvariyas olam. Right? Hashem looked in the Torah and He created the world, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu created.
Who says that?
Chazal say that. Chazal say
A
that.
whole big theory,
No, Chazal say that. That's a very famous thing. This
I know the rabbis. I was wondering who came up with that concept. Where does it come from? I mean, I know I've heard it.
Yeah, no. These are Mamre Chazal. This is a well-known. No, Mark. This is not something that this is well known.
The Hasidus.
It's Hasid. It's you'll find this in the. Okay, Marty. Mitzvah Hashem, I'll look it up for you. Okay, Beis Hashem, I'll look it up for you. Okay, the Haina B'Shvil Yisrael. B'Shvil Yisrael, Hashem made everything. Aval im einay misaper malav tzidkas Yisrael od tzarich lachriach kol hanivra behechrer kodol laseis masha nivra. So listen to this. Because everything was created for the Jewish people, and if we do the right thing, so everything in the world wants to do what they need to do in order to help us, right? Because we're doing the right thing. But if chas v'sholem we're not doing the right thing, so then what? So then the things in the world say, hey, I only was created for you because you were going to serve Hashem, and I was going to help you serve Hashem. But if you're not serving Hashem, I don't want to do what I have to do. You understand?
Right. And then you get punished.
Wait a second. So then you have to force the thing to do it. So then you have to force it. Right? Watch this. Avalim einay misaper or malah tzidkas.
So he hit the rock.
Then you have to force them to do what they were created. To do the Ratzon of Klal Yisrael. Hine Moshe Omar Bikan Shimu Noha Moirim. In front of the rocks, Moshe Rabbeinu makes a proclamation. Listen up, you rebels. What does that say? That you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah. He wasn't too pleased with their behavior. Moshe
Rabbeinu, of all people, used harsh words. It's so hard to even say this about Moshe Rabbeinu. Loved Klal Yisrael more than anybody ever. And therefore he had to hit the rock to do what it was created for. But if Moshe Rabbeinu would have been Ma'ale Klal Yisrael by using nice words to them, that was the Ratzon of Hashem, that was the will of Hashem. And talk to the rock. Because then if he would have said nice words and he would have spoken to the rock, hey, little rock, you were created because of the Jewish people. And they're on a great level. And therefore you have to do what you were created to do. To give out water for the Jewish people. But now, because Moshe Rabbeinu chose, and again we're not judging Moshe Rabbeinu at all, because Moshe Rabbeinu is Rabban Shal Yisrael, but Moshe Rabbeinu was Maichiach Yisrael. This caused that. Who it's really one reason. That's what the Torah says. Yan, because you didn't believe in me. In order to sanctify me, Le'nei b'nei Yisrael. Ki zeh shemaichiach es Yisrael b'toiv. Yochel gam hu lahasig es ha'am. Zeh ha'seichel. If someone talks in that way to the Jewish people in a nice, pleasing way, that person can also bring that seichel into the Jewish people. V'zeh remez like the sheni le'nei b'Yisrael karma chazal in Shira Shirim Rabbah einei eda chachmei eda. The einei eda, the eyes of the eda, the chachamim of the eda. Shegam heim yasigu zeh seichel. They should also have this seichel. So now we can understand a very important understanding here. What was going on? What was really going on here? What was going on was that Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabban to Yisrael, was a little bit frustrated. Could you believe that? Moshe Rabbeinu still was a human being, but he got frustrated. He got frustrated.
People gave him a hard time.
He got all this time. I'm taking care of you. Hashem is taking care of you. Now you have to come and complain to me right now. I just got up from Shiva. What do you want from me? He lost it. Moshe Rabbeinu lost it on his level. Again, Moshe Rabbeinu on his level. What did they want from him? What did they want from him? He just got up from Shiva.
Hillel had a lot of patience.
Yes.
They couldn't turn him like to get angry. You know,
He taught the Torah on one foot, right? On one foot.
Right, but he would never get angry. He was always calm.
Of course, but again, let's understand. Yeah, but again, Marty, let's understand what Moshe Rabbeinu went through. Right, Moshe Rabbeinu went through the desert, and we had the Cheda Egel, and Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Imna macheni na misifrecha." Right. Moshe Rabbeinu was the same one that said, "Hey, listen, Hashem, if you don't forgive these people, erase me from your book." So, you see, Moshe Rabbeinu went to bat. Moshe Rabbeinu went to bat for Klal Yisrael time and time again.
It must have been difficult.
But we really understand over here what really happened. We understand because really HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted that such a thing should happen. It's hard to understand that. Why? Because we know that, we're going to start the 3 weeks. Ay, Nebuch, we're going to another 3 weeks. We're in the month of Tav. Unbelievable. But listen, we know when it comes to the day of Tisha B'Av, right? So we don't put on our tefillin, right? We don't put on a tefillin in the morning, correct? Right? We don't do that, right? When do we put on the tefillin, Marty? In the afternoon, right? When you go to Mincha, right? After Chatzos, when you go to Mincha, right? Mincha time. Mincha, you can put on your tefillin. Right? Do you remember the reason why?
The temple was still being destroyed.
No, that's when they set the temple on fire. They set it on fire after Chatzos. At Chatzos, they set the temple on fire. The Beis HaMikdash was put on fire. So you'll say to me, wait a second, they put the Beis HaMikdash on fire in the afternoon. Why should I put on my tefillin then? That's terrible. Right? You know why? You know why? Because Hashem says, I chose the Jewish people over the Eitzim and the Avonim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu instead decided he'll destroy his own house, but he'll let the Jewish people be alive and well. And we see the chiba, the great love that Hashem has for us. And we feel that great love. Because that's what we know when HaKadosh Baruch Hu's home was set on fire. But yet we can put on our tefillin because we know and we believe that Hashem loves us and Hashem is always with us and Hashem will always be with us. And Hashem chose us over the stones and the wood. Isn't that amazing? But we know that if Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone into Eretz Yisrael and we would have not been good boys and girls at the time, so then what would have happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu would never destroy the Beis HaMikdash. And then Chas v'Shalom, we would have gotten destroyed. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves every single Jew, and Hashem doesn't want to destroy any Jew. And Hashem wants every Jew to be successful. Hashem is mechaka the tshuva of every single Jew. He pines for every Jew to come back to him. You understand? And this is what we see from this.
Moshe can get angry. Hashem has a fit for 1 second where he has to take it out on the building, instead of on the people. At least he's tolerant,
HaKadosh Baruch, right. No. So that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up this whole system that Moshe Rabbeinu would have to fail in this way, so that way he shouldn't be able to go into Eretz Yisrael. But really, we understand the real reason why this happened. And again, it wasn't really Moshe Rabbeinu's fault. Because really, Moshe Rabbeinu loved Klal Yisrael more than any other Jew ever loved Klal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu loved Klal Yisrael, and Moshe Rabbeinu went to bat for Klal Yisrael like no other Jew ever went to bat for Klal Yisrael. And therefore, so that's what we understand now. And this is something that I thought was something so nice to learn about Parsha Chukas. Okay, and now let's learn for a couple of minutes something in Parsha.
I'm sorry. Had Moshe Rabbeinu gone into Israel,
yes,
saying he would have destroyed. He would have destroyed the people. What I mean.
Yes, yeah, because Alex, let me explain.
He would have destroyed the people, not the Beit Hamikdash. Or what?
Yes, because if Moshe Rabbeinu would have came into Eretz Yisrael, so then the Beis Hamikdash would have been built, and that would have been it. That would have been the final Beis Hamikdash. And then when we did the wrong thing, and when we were serving the idols, and what we did, all the terrible things we did, HaKadosh Baruch Hu then would not have destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, but he would destroy the Jewish people. And Hashem didn't want to do that. He loves every Jew, and he wants every Jew to make tshuva. Okay? So that's what we learned. That's what we learned about Parshat Chukas. There's so much to learn, but I thought these two ideas to understand, the ideas of the chukim, what's the ideas of the chukim? That it's a chayk, we don't understand, right? And the neshama understands, and the neshama wants to do, the body doesn't want to do because the body doesn't understand, right? But then we said when we work on our bodies and we work on letting the neshama be successful over the body, we bring more kedusha into us. And then we learned the idea about Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we have this very difficult parsha of Balak, right? It's a very, very, very difficult parsha. Why? I'll tell you one thing interesting. Really. If the Torah didn't tell us about this parsha, we never would have known, right? We never would have known. How would we have ever known what was going on in Balak's mind, in Bilam's mind, that he hired him, that he went, he didn't go, all of this? What was really behind this? You know what's really behind this? I was thinking, this is really Hashem showing us. Guys, you're in this for the long haul. I want you to realize the same way you had Bilam, who was such a big Russia, right? He was such a big Russia, right? To such a Russia, we know that the Medrash says, that at the end of time, the Goyim are going to complain to Hashem, if we would have had a Navi, if you would have given us a prophet also, so that, we would have done the right thing. But Hashem, you didn't give us any prophets. And because you didn't give us any prophets, we didn't know what to do. And Hashem will say, you know what? You're wrong. I gave you Bilam. Bilam was a prophet also. But Bilam was a prophet on the side of impurity, right? But Bilam was really on the same level as Moshe Rabbeinu. But Moshe Rabbeinu was on the side of Kedusha, and he's on the side of impurity. You understand? Because it's Zelu Mazeh Asa Lekim. Hashem has everything always balanced in the world. And you see this, you learn this out from Bilam. Unbelievable to learn this out from Bilam, this idea. And we know many different things about Bilam, right? The first time Bilam came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the dream, right? He said to Hashem, he told the people of the emissaries from Midian, he told them, I have to speak to Hashem. He went to sleep. He told Hashem, listen, I want to go curse the Jewish people. And he really wanted to do it lishma. He wanted to do it, for pure reasons, for pure evil reasons. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, you know what? No, not so quick. The same night, the second night, when he goes back, and he asks Hashem, and he tells Hashem, we're going to get out. They're going to give me a lot of money. Oh, they're going to give you a lot of money? So you mean you're going to curse the Jewish people because you're going to get paid money? That's why you're doing it? Okay, you can go. Because such a curse won't have an effect. It only has an effect because he was trying to do something lishma. You understand that? So when we do something lishma, look how important it is. If it works like that on the side of impurity, alachas kama v'kama, how much more so will it work on the side of purity, right? So what happened over here? Vayomer Moav el ziknei Midyan. Moav, the people of Moab, the Moabites, said to the Zikanim of Midyan, for the Midianites, Balak ben Tzipor melech leMoav. Balak ben Tzipor, he was the king of Moab, the Moabites at that time. Balak melech Moav, ze bechinas chayos rois hadorsim v'torfim. The idea of Melech Balak is the king at the time of Moav. What is that? That is the idea of the Chachmei Teva. The Chachmei Teva. Who are the Chachmei Teva? Those are the scientists. Those are the professors of the day. HaKoifrim b'rotzen v'roitzen litroif b'dei Isayim espinei ameinu. Right? What are they doing in all the universities today? Right? What are they doing? They're trying to feed garbage to all of the people, all of the Jews that are there. They try to feed them all this new garbage, mangled garbage. The koifim b'rotzen. They're heretics in the rotzen of Hashem. They want to stick their ideas into our heads. This is what Melech Moav is trying to do. Baal Cain. Hu bechinas Melech Moav. He's the king of Moav. What does that mean? Giker is Gabrusam. Hu al yedei taivas niyav. The whole way. How do they attack? How do they attack? What do they use to attack? They use the taiva of niyav, the taiva of immorality, the immorality, the desire for immorality. Shu bechinas Moav, shehem nimshachim bechinas metzach isha zayna. They are the people of Moav. They are drawn from what's called the metzach isha zayna. What is that? Shehu ha'maisa shel benois light. Do you remember what happened? Do you remember what happened with light after when the Malach told them that that he saved them from where was that? That was Sodom, right? Sodom, right? Remember that story? Right? So they were running away, and the Malach told them, don't look back. And then we know that Ashes light, right? The wife of Lot, she turned back and she looked, and she's a pillar of salt. She's still there today. You know that? You can go by the Yam HaMelech, and you can actually find that pillar of salt, and it's written over there that that's Ashes light. Unbelievable.
The whole area is all salt water. Fully salt water.
No, and I understand that, Marty. You didn't listen to what I said. There's a pillar.
She's a pillar of salt.
A pillar of salt. You can see a pillar of salt. I'm not talking about the water. I'm talking about a pillar of salt on the road. On the road.
So heavily done.
Huh?
Road. Okay, there's something there. Okay, good.
No, you can see that. Marty, listen, Marty, I invite you, get yourself a ticket, come to Israel, I'll take you over there, I'll show it to you. Get yourself a ticket, come over here to Israel, I'll take you, I invite you. All you guys.
Yeah, that's nice.
We'll take a road trip, okay?
Yeah, road trip.
All right, here we go, okay. All right, so what happened over there? So the daughters of light, they saw, and they thought, really, that the world came to an end. They thought that the world came to an end, and they and their father were the only ones that were left in the world. That's what they really believed.
Right. Yeah,
That's what they believed. That's what they truly believed.
They didn't realize it.
And they devised a plan that they'll give their father wine to drink and get him drunk. And then the older one slept with the father. Again, Lishma. She did that for the right reason. She did that because she wanted the world to be able to go on. Okay?
Yeah.
But yet, when you do something, even though it's done Lishma, even though it causes some other things, negative things in the world. And that's why in the Parsha, when Bilam saw he's not winning, it's not working. He says, Ma toivu oilecha Yaakov. Right? He wants to curse us, but he says, Ma toivu oilecha Yaakov. Right? We say that in the morning. You just said that, guys, right? Ma toivu oilecha Yaakov. Ma toivu oilecha Yaakov. Mishkanei sechi Yisrael v'ani broiv chazach ova veisecha. Right? We say those beautiful words. Where'd they come from? Bilam HaRasha. And therefore he saw when he couldn't curse the Jewish people, he's told Balak, listen, take your daughters and have them do immoral acts with the Jewish people. You believe this? The princesses. Ikatois hamechakrim shel chachmei hatevu ha'yidei shehem kruchim mi'oid achatay v'zois. And then all the people today, they're all involved in all the immorality and all of the filth of the world today. It's terrible, mamish terrible. Kamuva b'Torah Abba Shol, as Rabbi Nachman writes in his Torah called Abba Shol, it's in lesson 55 in Likutei Moharan, the first book. And therefore they took the advice from the Zikanim of Midian. Ziknei Midian, Zeh bechina Ziknei Hador she'ein bahem shleimus. That's the Zikanim of the generation, the elders of the generation that did not have any completeness to them. Shal yoda miskaber adin v'aroiges hepech rotzen. Bechinas kitzar yomim. Shiva aroiges. Okay? What happens is when people become old and they're involved in the wrong things, comes more din in the world, more judgment. Roiges, anger, which is the hepech, which is the opposite of the rotzen, which is the opposite of the Ratzon Hashem. What's the Ratzon Hashem? That we get close to Hashem. The Ratzon Hashem is that we always getting close to Hashem. Bechinas kitzar yomim shvar roiges k'may shekosav sham ba'Torah. V'al kein nikroim zikrei midyan lishon din v'roiges. And therefore the Zikanim of Midyan are defined with language of what? Judgment and anger. Ki Zikanim de kedusha. Because when you have holy elderly people, Zikanim de kedusha, bechinas zoken zekona chachma, someone that's old and he acquired wisdom, he acquired knowledge. Hey miskachim b'chol yoyim bechinas titchadesh kanesher. They're always renewing themselves like an eagle. You know what's so beautiful about an eagle? Does anyone know the beautiful about an eagle? Let me tell you what's beautiful about an eagle. No matter how old an eagle will get,
they protect their young.
No matter how old no matter how old they get, Marty, no matter how old they get, they conjure up the strength to fly like an eagle, to protect their children, to protect themselves. They're always renewing themselves. They're always making themselves new. That's an eagle. Because every day the older people, they're trying to bring more Kedusha, like we learned before in the Kedusha's Levi. More Kedusha, more holiness, vidas, and more knowledge. And serve Hashem every day with a newness, with a freshness. That's the main service of the Jewish people. Like the Psukim say, every day it should be in your eyes. You should see like newness. See the newness in the day. See the newness in the day. One beautiful idea is like this. The day we call. What do we call? We call right now the time that we're in. We call it present, right? The time that we're in is the present time, right?
Yeah.
You know why it's called present time? Because Hashem gave us a present. He gave us this time as a present. And it's in the word itself to realize it's a present. The present moment is a present from Hashem. You ever think of that? The present moment.
That's English.
What?
That's English. I mean, matana, it's like a matana.
Matana, yes, matana. Yeah, I understand.
English is present. It has double meaning.
It has more meanings. I'm just trying to show you something nice. Oh my goodness. I just try to show you something cute and nice to make you smile. Okay. And then through that they're bringing all the time good ratzah. They're always drawing down good desire. The chasadim chadashim and new kindness. B'chol yoyim b'chinas chazdei Hashem ki lo yisamnu. The chesed of Hashem is never ending. It never ceases. Chadoshim la b'karim rabu amunasecha. In the mornings are new. And we get up in the morning, we say it's Rab Emunah. It adds to our Emunah. Reish is Chachma Yiras Hashem Seichel Tov L'chol Oseim, right? We say every morning, we say these beautiful words. Rab Emunah, right? Shachasadim is Chachim B'chol Baike, because the Chasadim are always renewing themselves every single morning. The whole point, the power of the Yetzer Hara comes from din and from anger. That's the Yetzer Hara. It comes from judgment and anger. Every day the Yetzer Hara of a person, of the Jew, strengthens upon him. And if you don't overpower it, then it's almost like there's no tikva. I thought this goes so nice what we learned in the Kedushas Levi, right? The whole idea of the neshama wanting to do the Ratzon Hashem because it comes from such a high place, and the guf not wanting to do what it wants to do, not to do the mitzvahs because it doesn't understand the mitzvahs. But if every day we have that emunah, and every day we know it's a new day from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a gift from Hashem. Every day is a new day. I'm a new person today. And I can do anything I want to do today. Like what?
I should always feel that way, Rabbi. It was very good. I should always feel that way.
Unbelievable. You should every day feel that way. Exactly. Every day you're new. Exactly. Exactly. Today I got so much to do and I'm going to be so successful today. I'm going to be so successful. Lamait connect, they stand up against them. Ki kiva niskem b'masa b'regulosav. Ki ha'yetzer hara nikra melech zokei nuksil. The Yetzer Hara is called the melech zokei nuksil. He's called the king, the old foolish king. Balkin hizir Rabbeinu Zal. Therefore Rabbi Nachman said, and we're going to end with this. Ma'oid. So much so, v'tzok b'kol gadol livli, liyoi zokei. You're never old. Rabbi Nachman says you're never old, chas v'sholem. Kamu b'sicha kadoisha zois, v'yishasacha l'toyra zois v'yesa ha'arvim, sha'anu oiskim ba, aval ha'mekoivim l'tzadik ha'emes, shu b'china zokin the kedusha, heim nizarim livli lipol chas v'sholem lidei zikna li'olam. We never have to subscribe to being old. We always have to be old, but we're new. Every day we're old and we're young at the same time. We may be old in years, but our perspective in life has to always be fresh. We have to approach life with a new curiousness, with a new vigor, with a new anticipation. Every day. What?
It's like when they say in the beginning of the Mishnah Berurah, it's Gaber Ka'ari.
Ari, Lavai, that's Abayri. It's the opening words of Mishnah Shulchan Aruch. Misgabe Kari, get up like a lion. Roar like a lion in the morning. Because you're a new person. You're a new person every morning. And every morning's a gift from Hashem. And every day we have all the possibilities, all the opportunities. And let us always take the opportunities, the possibilities. And I want to wish everyone a great Shabbos. And I'm so happy that now we're caught up. We're caught up together with the diaspora, and it's not that it's not that we I'm ahead of you and you're behind. Now we're going to catch up after this Shabbos. I thank you all for joining, and everyone have a wonderful Shabbos. And if you have any questions, you can always call me up. Okay, Kol Tuv, everybody. Bye bye.
Yes, God.
Hayat Shekor to all. Bye bye. Oh, yeah.